I found out my dad was willing to let everyone think I was a thief because it made his life easier. It happened at his 60th birthday dinner in the middle of Olive Garden of all places, when my aunt raised her glass and said, "To Marcus," finally stepping up and signing what he owed the family. People clapped. My sister smiled like she'd won something. My dad didn't look at me, and I was sitting there with breadsticks in my hand thinking, I didn't sign a damn thing. I'm Marcus, 34M. My wife is Jenna, 33F. We live about an hour outside St. Louis in a small house we bought 2 years ago after a decade of saving and maybe next year vacations. No kids yet. That's partly because we've been trying without success and partly because I've been carrying my family's emergencies like a second job. My family's always described us as close. The kind of close where there's a standing Sunday dinner, a family group chat with a dumb name, and an expectation that you answer calls even if you're at work. Growing up, Sundays meant my mom's chili in a crock pot, and my dad, Frank, 60M, humming while he fixed something that didn't need fixing. He's a carpenter by trade, hands like sandpaper, nails always a little dirty, a habit of tapping his fingers on the table when he's thinking. He's also the kind of guy who'd replace a neighbor's porch step for free, but act offended if you thanked him too much. My mom, Lisa, 58F, is warm in the way a space heater is warm. You feel it, but you also can't forget she can burn you if you get too close. She'll send Jenna home with leftovers and then later say, "After all I do," if Jenna doesn't attend a last-minute family event. And then there's my sister, Paige, 31F. She's not a villain. She's funny, quick, and when she's in a good mood, the whole room feels lighter. She's also the one who always needs help. New car because the old one is unsafe. Late rent because her boss messed up payroll. A temporary stay that turns into months. Paige has 2 kids, Carter, 7, and Ruby, 4, who I love fiercely. Carter calls me Uncle Mark, even though my name is Marcus, because when he was little, he couldn't say it right and we all thought it was cute. Still makes my chest do that warm ache when he says it now. We had traditions that genuinely felt good. Birthday dinners where my dad would insist on taking a picture and then complain about taking pictures. Christmas Eve at my parents' house with the same playlist of old rock songs and my mom's obsession with matching pajamas. Paige and I used to compete to see who could get Dad to laugh hardest. He has this wheeze laugh that comes out only when he's truly amused, like he's surprised his body's doing it. I really believed we were normal. Messy sometimes, loud sometimes, but normal. Then last year, my dad's business started slipping. He'd always run Frank's custom carpentry like it was a one-man machine. For years, he was booked out months in advance. Then the economy got weird. Material costs jumped. A couple big clients delayed projects. And Dad, who hates paperwork, got behind on invoices and taxes. He didn't tell anyone. He never tells anyone until it's an emergency. It's part pride and part this old-school belief that being a man means you swallow problems whole. By the time he admitted things were tight, they weren't tight. They were bleeding. And because I'm the responsible one, the family decided that meant I was the bandage. The conflict didn't start with a scream. It started with my dad asking me to just stop by. It was a Thursday in March. I was leaving the office when Dad called. "Hey, kid," he said, voice bright in that too bright way. "You got a minute?" I sat in my car in the parking garage, seatbelt still off. "Yeah, what's up?" "We're meeting at First Mid-Bank tomorrow," he said. "Just need you there for a signature. Nothing crazy." "What signature?" I asked. There was a pause. A tiny one, but my body noticed. "Just to help me straighten some stuff out. It'll be quick." Jenna had been in therapy long enough to teach me to listen for the words people avoid. I felt that tension in my chest. "Dad, I'm not signing anything without knowing what it is." His tone shifted. "Marcus, don't make this difficult." I laughed, but it was thin. "I'm not making it difficult, I'm asking." Another pause, then, It's a small business line of credit. We're consolidating some things. It's in my name. I just need a cosigner because, you know, credit scores. And why can't mom cosign? I asked, even though I already suspected the answer. Dad exhaled like I'd offended him. Because your mother doesn't work. She doesn't have the... Just, it's easier this way. Easier for him, riskier for me. I need to see it first, I said. Tomorrow at 10, he repeated like he hadn't heard me. Be there. Then, before I could respond, he said the sentence that should have been my red flag flare. Paige is coming too. It'll be nice. We'll get lunch after. He was bribing me with nice. That night, Jenna and I sat on our couch with takeout containers and my phone glowing between us. Do not sign anything, Jenna said. Not dramatic, just firm. I'm not planning to, I said, but my stomach was already doing that churn it does when I know I'm about to disappoint my parents. Jenna reached over and squeezed my hand. I know you love them, but we can't set ourselves on fire because your dad won't talk to an accountant. The next morning we went to the bank. I brought Jenna with me because I wanted a witness and because, if I'm honest, I needed someone there who wouldn't fold to my family's pressure. Dad was already sitting in a small glass office with a banker named Scott. Mom sat beside him, hands folded tight, eyes darting. Paige was there too, scrolling on her phone like this wasn't about finances that could ruin someone. When we walked in, Paige looked up and said, "Oh good, you're here." Like I'd been expected. Dad slid a folder across the desk. Just sign where Scott tells you. I opened it. It wasn't a small line of credit. It was a $90,000 business loan, secured partly against my parents' house, with me listed as co-borrower, not co-signer. Co-borrower. The kind of thing that doesn't just go away if the business doesn't recover. I felt heat rise in my face. Dad, this is huge. Dad's jaw clenched. It's not huge, it's manageable. It's to keep the business afloat. Paige cut in too quickly. And it'll help with the kids' school stuff. I looked at her. What? Paige shrugged like it was obvious. Dad said once the loan clears, he can help me with Carter's tuition and Ruby's daycare, just until I'm back on my feet. There it was. The loan wasn't just for the business, it was also for Paige, which meant in my dad's head it was for family, which meant any objection from me would be selfish. Scott the banker smiled politely, like he'd watched families do this 1,000 times. If you'll just initial here, Jenna spoke for the first time, calm and clear. We need to take this home and review it. My dad's eyes snapped to her. No, this is happening now. The air in the little office changed. Paige stopped scrolling. Mom's lips pressed into a line. I said, Dad, I'm not signing today. Dad leaned back, eyes hard. Why not? Because you're asking me to take on 90 grand, I said, voice shaking a little. And you didn't tell me the truth. Dad's face twisted. I did tell you. No, I said, you said quick signature. You didn't say co-borrower. Paige scoffed. Of course you'd focus on technicalities. Jenna's hand found my knee under the desk. I could feel her trying to steady me. Dad looked at me and said, in that calm voice he uses when he wants to end an argument, Marcus, we're not asking. We're telling you. Sign it, and we'll move on. I stared at him. It was like watching someone you love take a mask off and reveal something colder underneath. I slid the folder back across the desk. No. Silence. Then Dad stood up so fast his chair squeaked. Fine, he said, loud enough that the banker flinched. Then don't come crying when we lose everything. Mom's eyes filled with tears immediately, like on cue. Paige muttered, Unbelievable. Jenna and I walked out without lunch. In the parking lot, my phone buzzed with the family group chat. The chat is called Fam Bam, because my mom thinks she's cute. Mom, you embarrassed your father. Paige, you always think you're better than us. Dad, call me. I sat in my car with my hands shaking on the steering wheel, and Jenna said softly, If they're willing to do this to you, they've already decided you're the safety net. I wanted to argue. I wanted to defend them. but my chest felt tight in a way that didn't leave. The next phase was the slow poison. At first, it was passive-aggressive. Mom would text pictures of the kids with captions like, "They miss you," after I skipped a Sunday dinner. Paige would post on Facebook about people who forget where they come from. Dad would call late at night and leave voicemails that were mostly heavy breathing. And then, "Call me back." Then it turned into sides. My Aunt Teresa messaged Jenna. "I heard Marcus is refusing to help Frank. That's not like him." Like I was a rumor now. At a birthday party for Ruby, Dad avoided me. He talked to Jenna like she was a co-worker. Paige didn't look at me once until she cornered me near the snacks table. "You're really going to do this?" she asked, voice low. "Do what?" I said. "Leave us hanging," she said. "I'm not leaving you hanging," I snapped. "I'm refusing to sign something that could destroy my family, Jenna and me." Paige's eyes flashed. "So, you are choosing her?" The way she said "her" made my stomach twist. Like Jenna was an outsider, not my wife. Jenna was in the backyard chasing Ruby. I watched Ruby's laughter echo off the fence, and I felt this weird split inside me. Love for the kids, anger at the adults. Paige continued, "Dad is tired, Mom is stressed. You think they want to ask you?" I said, "Then why did Dad lie?" Paige's mouth tightened. "Because if he told you the truth, you'd say no." Exactly. That night I didn't sleep. I kept replaying my dad's face at the bank, the certainty in his voice, like my refusal was a personal betrayal rather than a financial boundary. I kept thinking, maybe I'm overreacting, but why does it feel like I'm drowning? Because it wasn't just money. It was the way my family expected me to be obedient. Before the credit inquiry even happened, there was one tiny moment where I thought, maybe we can fix this without it turning into scorched earth. Dad called me on a Sunday morning, the kind of call where his voice is softer because Mom is probably in the room. "Listen," he said, clearing his throat. "I know the bank thing got heated. Your mother's been on me. I shouldn't have sprung it on you." My shoulders actually dropped a little. "Okay," he continued. "Maybe we can restructure. Maybe you don't have to be on the main loan. Maybe you can just..." And he stopped like he was choosing words. "Just help us get it approved." I remember staring at the coffee dripping into the pot and thinking, this is the closest to an apology I'm going to get. So I said, "Dad, I'm willing to talk, but only if it's transparent. Bring me the business books. Show me the debt. Let's sit with an accountant. If it's real, I'll help you make a plan." There was a long pause. Then Dad's voice went flat. "We don't need an accountant. We need you to sign." And the tiny hope in my chest died. Because he didn't want help, he wanted compliance. Then came the second reveal. 3 weeks after the bank meeting, I was in the middle of a meeting at work when my credit monitoring app pinged my phone. New inquiry. First mid-bank. My stomach dropped. I hadn't applied for anything. I excused myself, went into a stairwell, and called the number listed. A woman answered, cheerful. I gave my information, hands shaking. "Yes," she said after a pause. "We have an application in progress that includes you." "Includes me how?" I asked, even though my voice already sounded panicked. "As a co-borrower," she said. My mouth went dry. "I did not authorize that." There was a longer pause. "We have a signed authorization." I pressed my forehead to the cold stairwell wall. "That's not possible." But it was possible because my dad keeps copies of everything. Social security cards, old tax returns, birth certificates. He calls it being prepared. I used to think it was responsible. Suddenly it felt like a weapon. I drove home in a fog and showed Jenna the email confirmation the bank had sent. Her face went pale. They tried anyway. I called my dad immediately, this time shaking with anger. He answered on the first ring. "What now?" "You ran my credit," I said. "You applied with my name after I said no." Dad didn't even pretend. He sighed. "It's already in motion. Just finish it." I felt something go cold in my chest. Did you forge my signature? Dad's voice sharpened. Don't be dramatic. Did you? I repeated louder. Paige's voice came through faintly in the background like she was there. Tell him to stop being a baby. Dad said low. You owe this family. That sentence hit me harder than any curse word, because it wasn't about need. It was about debt, emotional debt, a ledger I'd never agreed to. I hung up. Jenna watched me, eyes wet. Marcus, this is identity theft. I laughed, bitter. I know. And that's where the revenge started. Not because I wanted to hurt them, because I needed proof. Because I knew the moment I accused my dad of forgery, my family would label me dramatic and move on without consequences. So, I set a trap. I emailed my dad from my personal account with one sentence. If you already started paperwork with my name, I need to see the documents. I knew he couldn't resist replying. Control is addictive. He replied within 10 minutes. Stop acting like a lawyer. You're signing or you're out of this family. I stared at that line until my hands stopped shaking. Then I forwarded it to myself and Jenna, saved it, screenshotted it, and sent it to our attorney friend, Jenna's cousin, with the subject, Need advice, possible fraud. The revenge wasn't screaming. It was paper. The breaking point, the real one, was my dad's 60th birthday dinner at Olive Garden. Dad insisted on Olive Garden because it's tradition, even though none of us actually loves it. It's one of those things my dad decides and everyone follows because it's easier than arguing. Jenna didn't want to go. I didn't either. But Mom texted, Your father deserves one good night. So we went. The whole dinner felt off. Paige was too cheerful. Dad was too calm. Mom kept touching my arm like I was still her sweet boy, even though she'd been cold for weeks. Halfway through, my aunt raised her glass and made the toast. To Marcus, finally stepping up and signing what he owed the family. Clapping. Smiles. Paige's eyes on me, waiting for me to play my role. My face went hot. Jenna's hand tightened around her fork. I said slowly, I didn't sign anything. The clapping stopped like someone turned off a faucet. Dad's eyes hardened. Mom's smile froze. Paige laughed sharp. Marcus, don't. I looked at my dad. Did you tell people I signed? Dad leaned back, calm in a way that made me furious. I told them it's being handled. That's not what she said, I replied, nodding at my aunt. Mom's voice went high, panicked. Not here. And that's when I realized they were counting on public pressure, embarrassment, the oldest weapon in my family. So, I did the thing I'd been preparing to do. I pulled out my phone, opened the screenshot of my dad's email, and slid it across the table to my aunt. The words were clear. You're signing, or you're out of this family. My aunt's face changed from smug to confused to uncomfortable. Paige hissed. Are you serious right now? I looked at Dad and said, loud enough for the table to hear, You applied for a loan in my name after I refused. The bank ran my credit. I've reported it. If you forged anything, that's on you. Mom gasped like I'd punched her. Marcus, how could you say that? Dad's voice went low. You're doing this to hurt me. I felt tears burn, but I kept my voice steady. I'm doing this to protect my family. Paige slammed her napkin down. So you're going to call Dad a criminal at his birthday dinner? In public? I almost laughed. You called me a hero in public for something I didn't do. Dad stared at me with a kind of cold betrayal I'd never seen on him. Get out. Jenna stood up first. She didn't say anything dramatic. She just picked up her purse and said, We're leaving. I stood, feeling like my legs might give out. Happy birthday, Dad, I said, and it sounded like grief. We walked out while my mom cried and Paige swore under her breath. In the parking lot, Jenna leaned against our car and started shaking. Not sobbing, shaking, like her body couldn't hold the adrenaline. I hate this, she whispered. I know, I said, and my own voice cracked. I hate that I still love them. 2 days after the Olive Garden blow-up, Dad showed up at our house unannounced. He didn't come in. He stood on the porch with his hands shoved in his jacket pockets, looking smaller than I'd ever seen him. Jenna didn't open the door all the way. Nora wasn't with us. Paige had the kids that night, so it was quiet enough to hear Dad's breathing. He looked at me and said, quietly, "You made me look like a monster." I wanted to say, "You did that yourself." Instead, I just felt tired. "I didn't make you," I said. I just stopped covering. He stood there for a second, jaw working, then turned and walked back to his truck without another word. That night, I blocked Paige, then I blocked Mom. I left Dad unblocked for 2 days, finger hovering every time I saw his name, because part of me still wanted him to call and say, "I'm sorry." He didn't. He texted instead, "You embarrassed me, don't come around." So I blocked him too. It's been 6 weeks. The bank halted the application after I filed a fraud report and froze my credit. Nothing got approved, no money transferred. If my dad did forge something, he backed off. The moment he realized there were consequences outside the family. Mom has tried to contact Jenna through Facebook. Paige has tried through mutual friends. My aunt sent a message that said, "Families fight. Don't be stubborn." Nobody has apologized for using my name. They just want the noise to stop. On Sundays at around 4 p.m., I still get this weird ache in my chest, like my body expects chili in a loud kitchen. Jenna makes our own dinner now, and we eat at our own table, and sometimes I feel peace. Other times, I feel grief so sharp it surprises me, because I'm not just grieving a conflict. I'm grieving the illusion that my family's closeness was love, not obligation. My dad used to bring me powdered donuts like a tiny act of care. I keep thinking about that bag on my desk, how safe it felt, how uncomplicated. And the gut punch realization is this: my dad didn't stop being that person. He just added something to it. This belief that love means you have access, that because he raised me, he owns a piece of my future. I don't know if I took it too far by exposing him at his birthday dinner. Part of me still hears my mom's voice saying, "Not in public." But another part of me, quieter, steadier, knows that if I'd kept it private, it would have stayed in the family shadows where rules don't exist and guilt is the only law. I think the hardest thing I've learned is that you can miss people and still be safer without them. And I hate how true that is.